Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special video for you guys. I am going to be showcasing some battles that were shared to me by a very talented battler. What's so special about these battles? Well, this trainer was able to make a level 50 hundo Frigibax to use in the Great League, and he made it work really well in the GBL Catch Cup. He went up against high-ranked legends and some really well-known PvP players from the PvP community, and he managed to climb quite a bit with this team. He went up to the mid 3,100s, and I think that's pretty impressive. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy these games because these are some really good battles. The team he used is Clodsire on the lead with Arctibax and Frigibax in the back. Arctibax and Frigibax are going to be running the exact same moveset of Dragon Breath, Avalanche, and Dragon Claw. And really quickly before we begin, I want to give a huge shout out to 89 CGY Flames fan for sharing these battles with us. But that's enough from me, let's get into these matches. Alright, first game we are going to be seeing an Alolan Sandslash lead. How unfortunate, because this entire team is kind of weak to this. He is going to stay in and build up to the Earthquake, which is smart so that he can take a shield. And the opponent throws a Drill Run and he goes ahead and no-shields it because he needs shields for the Frigibax, which is in the back. Now after taking the opponent's shield, we are going to be swapping in that Arctibax because Arctibax is actually going to be doing quite a bit of damage with those Dragon Breaths to that Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Now the opponent brings in a Cofagrigus, unfortunately, and we are going to have to let the Arctibax go, but not without throwing an Avalanche on this Cofa and getting it really low. Now he decides to bring in Frigibax to farm down, and I am assuming that the opponent is going to bring back in the Alolan Sandslash, and let's see if he commits to the Dragon Breath down. The opponent is going to go ahead and throw an Ice Punch, and they can't reach a second move. We're able to farm down to have enough energy for 2 Avalanches, and this Gligar knows it. Frigibax one-shots the Gligar, and it's GG's for the opponent. But moving on to the next match, we are going to be seeing a Golbat on the lead, which is pretty okay for us because we are running Stone Edge on our Clodsire, and this Golbat has to go for these Shadow Balls, which are actually not going to be doing that much to Clodsire because Clodsire is very tanky. The opponent is going to go ahead and shield the Stone Edge, and then we can bring in the Arctibax. Now, we have to bring in the Arctibax because we are running an ABB line and we have to draw out whatever the backline is weak to. In this case, he was trying to draw out a Medicham, but it looks like in this case, the opponent was not running a solid answer to these 2 Dragon types, which is good news for the Frigibax in the back. We're able to take out the Cofa without investing any shields into that matchup, and the opponent is going to bring back the Golbat and farm us down. Now, he is choosing to bring the Frigibax in to farm down the Golbat. He does have to invest 1 shield, and the opponent has a Swampert in the back. Swampert is really bad for the Clodsire that we have, but it looks like he is going to be able to reach 2 Dragon Claws, and I believe that Frigibax wins CMP over the Swampert. So we can throw the first Dragon Claw to take their final shield, and then the second Dragon Claw is going to land and take out the Shadow Swampert. Up next, we are going to be going up against the Black Luffy 92, huge shout out to him, and he is leading a Shadow Dragonite. Now this is kind of bad for this team. We're going to go ahead and go for that Stone Edge, fully expecting the Dragonite to shield, and we're going to be able to tank this Dragon Claw. Now, the question is, does he want to swap into the Arctibax? And he does, so he is going to go ahead and shield this Dragon Claw, and hopefully he can Dragon Breath down, but nope, the opponent swaps out of the Dragonite and into their own Clodsire. We can go for this Avalanche, and it lands, and it looks like we are going to let the Arctibax go here. Now let's see what he decides to bring in. He could bring in either Pokemon and farm down, and he is choosing to go with the Frigibax, farm that Clodsire down completely, and I am assuming that the opponent is going to bring back that Dragonite, and they do, and we're able to take it out before it can reach a move. And in the back, the opponent is going to have a Lantern. Everything is going to be resisted. However, this Frigibax is very frail, so it's taking a lot of damage from these water guns. But we're able to land 2 Dragon Claws, and it puts the Lantern in the red. And then it looks like he swapped in Clodsire because it was pretty weak. And we could threaten the Lantern with the Mud Shots, force it to throw a Surf, and then bring back in Frigibax and Dragon Breath down. But moving on to the next match, it looks like we are going to be RPSing our opponent. They lead Charge Bug into our Clodsire, and then they bring in an Arboliva, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And we have 2 dragon types that can deal with this in the back. We just have to watch for that earth power. Gonna shield the earth power and then not going to shield the seed bomb. And let's see what the opponent brings back in. Oh, they bring in an Alolan Sandslash, and this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky, but we have so much energy on this Arctibax from farming that our Believer down. We're going to go for these Dragon Claws against this Alolan Sandslash, and we managed to get it into the red. That is how strong these dragons are. Now he brings back in the Frigibax and decides to let the Ice Punches go, and he decides just to sack it completely, and then he can bring in Clodsire and farm the Alolan Sandslash down, and the opponent top left's here because they just have a Charge Bug in the back and they can't do much. GG's to the opponent. And that's 4 wins in that first set with a hundo level 50 maxed out Frigibax. Moving on to the next game, we are going to be seeing a Hakamo-o on the lead. Gonna stay in and gonna go straight for the Earthquake, I assume, because Stone Edge is resisted, so I don't know if he wants bait. Yep, going straight for that Earthquake. Let's see if it lands. It doesn't land. The opponent goes ahead and shields it, and now we are going to bring in Arctibax to draw out whatever the backline is weak to. And we managed to draw out a Carbink. This is really good that we are seeing it here. And we managed to also reach 2 Avalanches and get the Carbink really low. Now we can bring in Clodsire and build up as much energy as we want because this Carbink is not going to be able to do anything to this Clodsire. Let's see if he decides to commit to the farm down or if he has to throw a move, and it looks like he is committing to that farm down. The Clodsire is going to be able to survive a Rock Slide from the Carbink and then go for the Earthquake against. It looks like he brought in a Jellicent. He didn't bring in the Hakamo-o. Gonna swap immediately into this Frigibax and shield whatever this Jellicent is going to throw. Thankfully, they go straight for that Shadow Ball and use up all their energy. And now they're going to bring in Hakamo-o, and we have quite a bit of energy stored up on this Frigibax. We have enough energy for 2 Dragon Claws. We're able to take the opponent's final shield with the first Dragon Claw, and then we CMP tie on the second Dragon Claw. We win CMP, so we're able to take out the Hakamo-o, and then we Dragon Breath the Jellicent down. But moving on to the next match, we are going to be seeing a very, very tough lead. We are not running Sludge Bomb on our Clodsire. We are going to be seeing an Azumarill lead. This is essentially a ground type and 2 dragons against an Azumarill. So this is going to be very tough. And it looks like the Azumarill is going to go straight for that Ice Beam. And then they swap into a Lickitung. Now, we do go ahead and throw that Earthquake, which is interesting, which is actually pretty good because that means we get to chip this Lickitung. And it looks like he is going to go for an Avalanche against Lickitung as well to take it out. It didn't look like it was in Dragon Claw range, so the Avalanche was the safer option. Now they are going to bring back in the Azumarill, and the Arctibax is still in the yellow, so it is not going to be able to bubble us down. We're going to be able to reach 2 Avalanches before this Azumarill decides to finally throw their energy. They're going to take Arctibax out with an Ice Beam, but not without us getting it into the red with Arctibax. And then we bring in Frigibax and we farm it down completely with Dragon Breaths. 2 dragons, Dragon Ice types that have nothing that is neutral or super effective against this Azumarill are able to take it out. And the opponent has a Mandibuzz in the back. We just have to get the 2 shields that they have left out of the way. And then the second Avalanche with shields down should land on this Mandibuzz, doing a ton of damage. And we also make a catch on our 1 HP Arctibax in the back, and GG's to the opponent. Very well played, very well played. That was amazing. But moving on to the next match, we are going to be seeing another really tough lead. This whole team is actually kind of weak to this Medicham, but our best answer is going to be Clodsire. Gonna stay in this and gonna no shield the Psychic. It does so much damage, but we are also going to go for these Earthquakes, which are also going to be chunking this Medicham. Now, we do outpace it to the next Earthquake, but it looks like the opponent decides to throw an Ice Punch here. But Clodsire is very tanky and survives. Now we just have to hope that the Medicham lets the Earthquake go. We did undercharge there to get some farm on the Arctibax, and then the opponent brings in a Jellicent, and this is pretty okay. This Arctibax has decent bulk, so it can take a Shadow Ball if we decide to no shield, but it looks like we are going to be investing a shield. Unfortunately, he gets baited. It is a Surf. Gonna go for these Dragon Claws, and the opponent shields their Jellicent. That means whatever they have in the back is going to be weak to these dragons. So Frigibax should be able to close off this match and sweep. the opponent is going to bring in a Charge Bug, but these X-Scissors are unfortunately not resisted and they do quite a bit of damage to this really frail baby dragon. So we have to shield the next X-Scissor and we are able to reach 2 avalanches. This first one will take our opponent's final shield and then the second one will land and take the Charge Bug out. Now the opponent still has a little bit of HP on the Jellicent, but we are able to Dragon Breath it down. GG's to the opponent. But on to the next match, we are going to be seeing a Bombirdier on the lead. This is okay because we have that Stone Edge, and it looks like the opponent tried to catch the Stone Edge on their own Clodsire, but we keep farming and we're able to land an Earthquake. Now we are going to be going for a second Earthquake, but it looks like we do not win CMP, so the opponent is going to be able to throw the Earthquake first. And let's see if they decide to shield or not. They decide to let it go. However, we have to undercharge to give the Arctibax some farm. Now the opponent brings back in the Bombirdier, and because it is very frail, we are able to go just for these Dragon Claws, and the opponent goes ahead and shields. However, they throw a move and it ends up being a payback, and that nearly one-shots our Arctibax. Unfortunate for us, but we are now going to bring in Frigibax, shield it, and farm this Bombirdier all the way down. Unfortunately, we do have to invest 2 shields because they are able to reach 2 flies. Now the opponent has a Shadow Quagsire in the back. We are going to bait with a Dragon Claw to take their final shield, and then we go for an Avalanche. Let's see if it one-shots, and it does. It takes out the Shadow Quagsire, and then we can Dragon Breath down the Bombirdier. GG's to the opponent. Moving on to the next match, it looks like we are going to be seeing a Clodsire mirror match. Now, I don't think we win CMP here, so we're going to go for the Earthquake and weaken this Clodsire, and I think the play is take the Earthquake from the opponent Clodsire and then swap into Arctibax. But it looks like we simultaneously swap. The opponent is going to bring in a Lickitung, and we are going to bring in the Arctibax. Now we're just going to be going for these Dragon Claws against this Lickitung. Now let's see how he handles these Body Slams. It looks like he is not going to shield the first one, but he is going to shield the second Body Slam and farm up as much energy as he can before throwing the next Dragon Claw. I am expecting the opponent to let the Lickitung go, and they do. Unfortunately, we are 1 shield down now. Now the opponent is going to bring in a Cofagrigus, and they shield the Cofagrigus, thankfully, so we are able to get the shield out of the way. And then he brings in Frigibax and just builds up to the Dragon Claw, but the opponent shields anyway, so now the opponent is 2 shields down, but it looks like he is deciding to let the Frigibax go and probably win this with the Clodsire. Okay, let's see how this plays out. It looks like he's going to invest the final shield here to shield that Dark Pulse, and the opponent catches the Earthquake on their own Clodsire. Now, do we make it to a Stone Edge? We don't. Unfortunately, the opponent makes it to another move, and this Arctibax is too low to make it to another Dragon Claw, so we take a loss there. GG's to our opponent. Moving on to the next match, we are going to be seeing a very tough lead of Gligar instantly swapping into that Arctibax and going to take this Aerial Ace. That's completely fine. And then the opponent swaps into their own Arctibax. Now he does go for the Avalanche. I don't know if he could have made it to 2 Dragon Claws. It doesn't look like he would have been able to. So makes sense going for the harder hitting move in case the opponent didn't shield, but of course the opponent's going to shield. And then it looks like we're going to bring in Clodsire and go for the Stone Edge. Now let's see what the opponent decides to do. They decide to shield their Arctibax. Very interesting. And it looks like we are going to be letting this Clodsire go, and that's a pretty good idea. We can bring in this Frigibax and farm this Arctibax all the way down. But the opponent is not going to let us do that. It looks like this Frigibax is actually going to threaten this opponent's backline, so we are going to farm up as much energy as we can before this Gligar can reach another move, throw the Avalanche, and take the Gligar out. And the opponent has a Guzzlord in the back. This Avalanche should be doing enough to take out the Guzzlord, and then we can Dragon Breath down the Arctibax. That was 1 HP in the back. GG's to the opponent. On to the next match, we are going to be seeing Steelix on the lead. This is exactly where we want to see it, and the opponent brings in a Shadow Weeping Bell. Now we have 2 answers to this in the back, so we are going to bring in Arctibax, go for a Dragon Claw before the Weeping Bell can reach a move, take it out, and then the opponent is going to bring back in Steelix, and we are able to reach an Avalanche, and this is going to do quite a bit of damage to the Steelix. But unfortunately, he is going to be able to completely Dragon Tail down the Arctibax. Now, he didn't build up to the Earthquake, so we are going to no shield. They go for a Breaking Swipe, and then they bring in a Victreebel. And then they top left because we have Frigibax in the back. GG's to our opponent. And that was another 4-1 with this maxed out Frigibax. This team is doing way too well, taking our very talented battler into the 3100s. Let's see if it will continue to perform well. Up next, we are going to be seeing a very tricky lead. This Dunsparce has an answer for everything on the team, unfortunately. It is going to be going for these drill runs against this Clodsire, but surprisingly, it doesn't do that much damage, so it looks like we're going to have to stay in and take the drill runs. Now, I think at one point we are going to have to swap into the Arctibax, but because we have to draw out whatever the backline is weak to, like I said, ABB. So let's see what he decides to do. He decides to let the Clodsire go and then bring in the Arctibax. I don't think he'll oh, nope, he decides to use a shield here. Let's see if he'll be able to farm down this Dunsparce before it can reach another move. And we are able to farm it down completely. However, they have a Medicham in the back, and this is really bad. The 2 Pokemon that we have left are going to be so weak to Medicham. We are loaded up on energy, however, and we are able to land the Avalanche, and we take their final shield with the following Dragon Claw. Now, opponent is going to go ahead and swap in what they have in the back, and they have a Charizard. Unfortunate for us, we are able to reach an Avalanche on the Charizard, but it doesn't take them out. They survive, and they are able to take out our Frigibax. If we had that Frigibax, we would have been able to take out this Medicham, and this game would have been ours. But unfortunately, somehow, that Charizard survived an Avalanche from a Frigibax. Now moving on to the next game, we are going to be leading into a Quagsire, which is so bad for Clodsire. It looks like he is immediately going to swap into Arctibax and take these Mud Bombs. Unfortunately, they hurt. They are going to be neutral, but we are going to be going for these Avalanches, and it lands on this Quagsire. Now, the next Mud Bomb is not going to be enough to take out Arctibax, but our opponent brings in a Dragonair. So let's see what he's going to do here. He decides to bring in the Clodsire, and I guess he is going to go for the Stone Edge. Now, he's going to let the Aqua Tail go, and it hurts, but let's see if the opponent decides to let this Stone Edge go. They don't. They go ahead and they shield their Dragonair. Dragonair is so bad for what we have in the back. We are going to shield Clodsire so that we could get this next Stone Edge off, and we take their final shield. However, they're also able to reach a move, so we have to invest our final shield as well on our Frigibax. But the opponent has a Trevenant in the back, and we have a lot of energy. We are able to one-shot it with an Avalanche, and the opponent is going to bring back in Dragonair, let us farm them down, and then we can reach a Dragon Claw on this 1 HP Quagsire. GG's to our opponent. Moving on to the next match, we are going to be seeing another Lickitung. You know what I don't understand? And you know what I really want to know? How are people getting enough XLs to build a Lickitung for Catch Cup? That's what I really want to know. Because it's taking me so long to build my own Lickitung for Open Great League. And I just recently built one because the XLs took me way too long to get. So how are people able to build these Lickitungs so easily? That's what I want to know. But anyways, it looks like the opponent brought in their Jellicent and caught an Earthquake on it, and then we were able to take it out with the Arctibax, and then they bring in Lickitung, take out the Arctibax, and we are going to bring in Clodsire. Now the opponent immediately swaps into Froslass, and we are able to go for that Stone Edge and take a shield from them, and then we are going to bring in our Frigibax. It looks like here we are going to commit to the farm down with the Dragon Breaths and double shield this Frigibax because these Avalanches will absolutely take it out. And we're going to have so much energy now for the Lickitung, going for this Avalanche and taking half the Lickitung's health. Going for a second Avalanche, and it also lands. Now the Lickitung has no health left. We're able to shut it down with Clodsire, and we take that win. Frigibax with an energy lead is so deadly. Moving on to the next match, we are going to be seeing a Core Breaker. If this is running Powder Snow, this is going to be very tricky to deal with because we don't have Sludge Bomb on our Clodsire, so we don't really have any answers to this Alolan Ninetales. Gonna go for the Stone Edge, and of course the opponent is going to shield the Stone Edge. Gonna have to shield the next Weather Ball in order to get a second Stone Edge off. But they catch it on Lickitung, unfortunately, and it tickles the Lickitung. I wish I could say that we chipped it and dipped, but really we tickled it and then we dipped. We're going to bring in Arctibax now and going to go for a Dragon Claw. Going to get it into Dragon Claw range and then go for that Dragon Claw. Unfortunately, we are going to be seeing the Alolan Ninetales come back in. We are going to go for this Avalanche, which actually does quite a bit of damage to this Alolan Ninetales. It is resisted, but it did quite a good chunk, and that's all we need. Now we are going to bring in Frigibax, and we are going to attempt to Dragon Breath it all the way down. But it looks like the opponent isn't going to let us. They bring in a Mantine, and then we go for the Avalanche. They go ahead and shield. We probably should have baited there, but that's okay. They are going to go for an Ice Beam, and that almost takes out the Frigibax, but we are able to reach a Dragon Claw. It is not going to be doing nearly enough damage to take out this Mantine because Mantine is very tanky. So unfortunately, it looks like this game is going to be a loss. Alolan Ninetales with Powder Snow is a big core breaker for this team. So moving on to the final match of this video, we are going to be seeing a Clefable lead, which is very good for us. This is exactly where we want to see it against this Clodsire. Unfortunately, we're still not running Sludge Bomb, so we have to go for this Earthquake. Let's see if this Clefable decides to let it go, and they do. So now all we have to do is go for a Stone Edge. They do win CMP over Clodsire. Of course, Clodsire is not very attack weighted. Going for another Meteor Mash, but we can easily take it. And they decide to shield the Stone Edge. Now, Clefable is a little bit scary for the backline, but they are in the red, so we should be able to Dragon Breath it down, but the opponent immediately swaps into Skeledirge. Now, for some reason, he makes a play here where he swaps into Arctibax. I'm not sure why. We had the Dragon Claw on the Frigibax, but it's okay. We are going to go ahead and take out the Skeledirge with the Arctibax, and then the opponent brings in a Shadow Whiscash, which is very interesting. The Mud Bomb really hurts, but we're able to reach the Avalanche. Let's see if the opponent lets it go. Of course they're not going to let it go. And then they bring back in Clefable, and we're going to be able to farm it down with this Frigibax. Hopefully it doesn't get to another move. We're able to farm it down, and then we can go for this Avalanche against this Whiscash, take that out, and take that final win. And that was another positive set with XL Frigibax and Arctibax in the Catch Cup. These Dragon Ice types are very, very strong. But that brings us to the end of our video. I hope you guys really enjoyed those battles. Those were so fun. If you guys like my videos, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like, it helps me out a ton. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!